We're more than just a fraternity. We're the product of Jewish pride and perseverance.
Save me.
Among the hardest survival. Learn from these streets, it can be bleak. Accept no defeat, surrender, retreat. So we struggling.
I'm inspired by the generosity of passersby in the street, everyone contributing to save a child's heart.
Fateful day, it's not far away, but for now we say, when I get older.
The only thing better than saving a child's heart is saving a child's heart in the rain, in the cold. Last year we did it in the hail. I hope it hails again because it just makes it a more awesome event. We still have around 5 or 6 hours to go. We're looking to make a lot of money for this event and for saving a child's heart.
I just want to reflect as the only person on this council who's actually invested in this conversation, in the sense that I am an Israeli citizen and that I was born in Israel 21 years ago. And I'm extremely, extremely proud about it. And I'm going to say this, I think that Israel is what's right about the Middle East. It's honestly, it's an incredible, incredible country. And what's been done there in short 7 years is nothing short of astounding. And I'll say this because I don't think that people, that I know that people, don't want to say this, but do not ever frame this conflict as an indigenous versus not an indigenous person. And I don't care where you stand on this issue, because when you frame the issue in that way, you're saying that I don't actually matter, and that I actually don't have a place in my homeland, and I will never, ever take that from anybody. And, I'll say this, being president actually sucks.
Following is a statement by Congresswoman Ross Lenton. As Israel defends its citizens from Hamas and other violent extremists, and as rockets from Gaza strike Israeli civilian targets as far away as Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, the message from Congress is clear. We stand with Israel! We support... Please join me in a moment of silence for everyone, both Israeli and Palestinian, who has been killed, wounded, or terrorized this past week. I ask for a moment in silence for Israelis and Palestinians killed and wounded this past week.
Occupying another people's land. How about that moment, huh? From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine.
On Gaza, a piece of land a bit larger than Manhattan, with a population of 1.7 million people. They have been living under a blockade imposed by Israel since 2007, a blockade that has been declared illegal by NGOs and the United Nations. Palestinians in the Gaza Strip are denied freedom of movement and stripped of every human right we all enjoy. Gaza is controlled by Israel from land, sea, and air. Israel only allows enough food to keep the population alive, which in
Anybody water? Water, water, water.
University, there's a professor there that calls his students his little jihadists. He's on a terrorist watch list, actually. Here, I'll just read the article. A Kent State University associate professor of history is standing by his call for jihad in statement that Israel is a regime that is the spiritual heir to Nazism.
And he's teaching kids.
Yeah.
2 years ago, I was invited to some Leadership Conference, and everything I learned there really made me want to support the state of Israel.
Y'all know anything about the U.S. and Israel relationship?
At Grambling State University, none of the students that I work with are Jewish, so I have to take a whole different route.
Israel was one of the first responders in Hurricane Katrina.
People actually will support something if you give them a reason to.
If you look at the things that the Jewish people go through in Israel, as Africans Americans, you can kind of relate a lot.
Y'all just educated me.
I've definitely seen the movement of pro-Israel grow on campus. I have a lot of students that's approaching me saying, I've been to some of your events and I really want to get involved. And they're younger students, they're freshmen and sophomores.
Because we lobbied and other people lobbied, now they have the Iron Dome.
When I do graduate, I can count on those people to continue pushing the efforts on campus.
I grew up in a conservative Jewish household, and when I came to Princeton, it was my first experience with people who hate Israel. I felt that I needed to take a stand.
We have to, make ourselves credible sources if we're going to spread our message.
Right now, the biggest challenge that we're up against is a divestment campaign spearheaded by university professors.
I want you guys to know what you're talking about.
We are going to start a campaign that the university should invest in peace. Rather than to divest, we're having this positive campaign. We hope that that will be even more powerful.